What's going on, everybody? It is D Got Sense back on the D Got Sense show with episode 5. Accept your truth before someone reveals it to you. So, first off, when I say accept your truth, I'm not meaning you are living a treacherous, a wicked, unrighteous lifestyle and then you just tell everybody, damn to be everyone else and you just live how you live. That's not what I'm saying. So when I speak on accepting your truth before someone reveals it to you, I first have to speak on the topic of delusion, right? So delusion is your how far your perception of life or reality is off of what the truth is. You know what I mean? So what exactly do I mean by accept your truth? When I say accept your truth, I mean accept the aptitude and tendencies that you have in life due to genetics and just basically gifts that you were born with. Not only gifts, but just traits in general. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if you are a 5'5" man, understand that that is how you were born, and it's much simpler, or it's much more simple, and it's much more easy to accept the fact that this is how you are and find alternate solutions to get the same type of results that you were looking for, uh, or that you would be looking for as if you were, taller, right? And another thing I would like to touch on is that most people never learn to hunt the good stuff in life. And what that means is to pretty much find the good where there is very little of it. And I'll give you an example. Very rarely will you hear someone say, like, let's use the example of, you know, someone that is, short, right? They're just not tall. Very rarely will you hear someone that's 5'5" say, well, I could be shorter. You know what I mean? Everyone has such a pessimistic mindset when it comes to their own outlook on themselves. You know what I mean? People always want to compare, which is, the thief of joy. And everyone always says, well, man, only if I was 6 feet, only if I was 6'5", only if I was 6'8", but you very rarely hear anyone say, well, I could be 5'3", or I could be 5 foot, and the person is 5'5", right? Very rarely do people appreciate what they do have, and it's a sad existence whenever the um, you can't find joy in the small things that you do have. And a lot of the times not accepting your truth will quite literally lead to an insecurity being built up over time because you have denied the truth of who you are and at your core. And what ends up happening is you've gone so long denying the attributes that you have that you eventually get caught up in the cycle of trends, like most people do, and then eventually you get old enough to where you life starts to hit you, right? Like life will start to reveal the truth, and next thing you know, you're having a midlife crisis, and you don't know where you are and who you are mentally, right? This won't mean that you don't have a stable career, right? There are plenty of people with stable careers that don't know themselves. There's plenty of people with families that don't know themselves, right? That's why people become distant over time, or they start becoming resentful and all these different things because there's so much pent up confusion that they don't know how to display it anymore, and it just comes out in waves, right? They're good, then they're not, and they're good, then they're not, and it seems like they can't find solid ground, and all of that comes with not accepting your truth, right? And that's more of on a physical sense, right? Also, accepting your truth has a different side to it, which is accepting the truth of your situations. You know what I mean? Um, for example, only I'll use America for example. Only in America can you have a certain lifestyle, live certain ways, and people will tell you it's okay. It doesn't matter. But the truth of the matter is, it does. You know what I mean? You can't do certain things and expect to not have um, consequences behind it, right? Like, for example, if you were a P word, a pedophile, you know what I'm saying? That's a stigma that's going to stick with you forever. Um, that's just one of those things. And the list goes on, right? if you, let's say, had somebody killed, like say you were convicted of attempted murder, you know what I mean? And these are extreme examples, right? But there are things that are rarely overlooked, right? No one just overlooks it. So whenever, and those, like I said, those are extreme examples, right? If you're an overweight female and you constantly feel the need to have the attention of a woman that is in shape and what and is deemed as attractive by society, right? And that's how you want to be perceived. You denying the truth of your reality will cause you to live in delusion. And what happens is when someone reveals your truth to you, right, it's going to shatter this bubble that you've built up, and it'll be more detrimental to you having that bubble burst by someone than if you would have just um, learned to accept the reality early on. And when it comes to accepting your truth, it there's a few ways to look at it. Some things can be changed, some things can't, right? There are people that hate the skin color they were born in. You know what I mean? There are some people that hate the skin color they were born in, right? So they try to um, change their outer appearance. They'll wear. I've seen people wear colored contacts. They'll even dye their hair, right? They'll do certain hairstyles. Now hairstyles that's a little loose, right? I'll just let that one slide. But changing of the hair color, changing of the eye color due to contacts. They'll change their mannerisms. They'll do a whole bunch of things is because they are denying who they are and they refuse to accept um, the truth, right? And when you tend to deny the truth, you start to live a lie, right? And the thing about living in lies is um, there's no there's no truth in it, and you almost have to avoid the truth in order to live a lie, right? Now you're constantly on edge all the time because you're waiting just for someone to, expose the reality that you know to be true to you. So now you're very defensive, right? You're very hostile, and it's a dangerous existence to have because you become mentally unstable. And so the reason you don't or let me put it this way, the reason you should also accept your truth, right, whatever it may be, is because you can't choose how someone will reveal it to you. It's like what I said in a previous video, right? Like if you do something to somebody, you can't control how they choose to pay you back, right? Some people are extreme. You know what I mean? They will absolutely let you have it. And the same thing is with um, accepting the truth about yourself, right? Some people, despite whatever their motive is, they'll let you have it, and it's much it's much more suitable to live a life of truth than falsehood because let's say you have an odd shaped head, right? If you have an odd shaped head, it's much more if you know that your head is shaped odd, but that's the way you're born, and you're like, well, it's odd shaped. It's whatever. I've heard that, and everyone will hear something about themselves very early on, right? Some stuff can be changed, like braces, or let's say a hairstyle that can be changed. But then there's things like your height, your head shape, your hands, your feet, stuff, your arms, stuff like that can't really be changed. And if you've heard it as a child growing up, you would think you would become used to it, right? So some people either get bullied and they try to alter themselves to the highest degree, and some people just stop caring, right? There's two roads you can take. One will cause you to lose yourself, and one will cause you to accept yourself. And here's the thing: when you start to accept yourself, no long people can no longer weaponize something about you against you. You know what I mean? Because it's not an insecurity. It no longer bothers you because you understand that's who you are, it's how you were created, and you have no issue with that. So it gives you a degree of freedom to allow yourself to be you. You know what I mean? It shows us a level of self love and self care, self appreciation, and humbleness as well. To understand that not everyone is going to be a superstar in terms of appearance. You know what I mean? So when it comes down to it, all you can do is learn to accept yourself. because oftentimes when you allow people to um, have leverage over you in that regard, they will always manipulate and weaponize it anytime you're not navigating life the way that they deem appropriate. You know what I mean? uh, this is more common. I've seen it more commonly with women where they will gaslight or they will talk about, and I've seen it from dudes I've, coached and talked to. I'll see it more so with dudes that are usually out of shape. They don't really wear a lot of cologne or any cologne. They don't really have a tall posture, right? They've never been very good. They've never been good with women. They lack a certain confidence about themselves, right? And as we know, confidence comes from results, right? So if you don't have a result, you're not going to be confident. You're not going to be confident in your ability to um, swap out a transmission if you never even opened up a car hood, right? You're not going to have the confidence to defend yourself in a fight if you never trained in any capacity, right? You're not going to have confidence in your appearance if you've never worked on it. You know what I mean? Or your speech, right? You're not going to have confidence public speaking, right? Unless you trained and practiced in it, or you have a God given ability, a Yah given ability. So some things are talents and some things aren't, right? Some things you can work on, some things you just won't be good at, right? Because it just goes against your entire character, right? Like there are people that are pursuing careers that will never fit them, right? There are people that are trying to be real estate agents right now that are at their core antisocial. They're denying the truth of who they are, and they'll never be as good as they would be as if they just accepted that that's not who they're supposed to be, right? And with that being said, guys, it just comes down to understanding that you have to have a uniqueness about yourself. There are billions of people on this planet. We are destined to not be similar in a lot of ways. Like, yes, we share similarities in the sense of we're all humans. We breathe air or breathe oxygen, you know what I mean? But everyone doesn't like the same thing. Only in modern society is it normal to try to be uniform in every way possible, right? Which doesn't even logically make sense. Like most people today are very shallow, right? And there's no depth to them because they have given over the truth of who they are and have solely chosen to be someone else, right? And eventually, most people's world is gonna come crashing down whenever the trend inevitably shifts, which it will, and you're too old to follow behind that, and that's where those midlife crises are gonna come from, is because you denied the reality of who you were for so long that you no longer know yourself, and now you're running around trying to seek and find who you're supposed to be. But the reality is, you don't even know anymore, and there's a high chance that you might not find that person for a long time, and next thing you know, you're in your 60s. But accepting your truth is about accepting that this is how you are, whether you like it or not. Some people need to hear that. You might have a big nose, you might have a big forehead, you might have big hands. Own it, right? Find a pro in what most people would consider, I guess, your weakness. I don't know. You know what I mean? Learn to find the good stuff in life and stop being so pessimistic about everything about yourself, because your brain is very good at tearing you down and it's very good at building you up. It all depends on how you start to manage your thoughts, mind management. You know what I mean? You have to come to terms with this isn't fixable, and the only thing I can do is accept it, or it is enhanceable and naturally now. Now don't be going out here getting six pack BBLs. You know what I mean, right? Like a lot of people, they are insecure about their physique, right? Some people aren't designed to be 6'8", 250 all muscle, right? Some people aren't designed to have the physique of, let's say, a Olympic level athlete. right? Comparison, remember, thief of joy. Maximize and optimize who you are, right? Because no one can be a better you than you, and never forget that. But as far as accepting your truth goes, that's pretty much all I got to say on this topic. Is be careful denying yourself for too long, because when someone reveals it to you, it won't always be packaged how you want to deliver, how you want it delivered. And with that being said, y'all, this is D Got Sense on the D Got Sense show. Hopefully, you all enjoy episode 5. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.